It's Ole Miss and Auburn, Saturday night in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Let's get in here and talk about it on this episode of the Uptempo Podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, Auburn family? Today, we have a big guest by the name of Tyler Komis. He is from Inside the Rebels over at 247 Sports. We are glad to have him. A big game Saturday night, Tyler. Your Ole Miss Rebels are right in the thick of the SEC West. And coming off the bye week, man, you get a trip to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Everything that went on last year, and, Lane Kiffin and Hugh Freeze used to be the coach at Ole Miss. Big time stuff Saturday night, brother. But first off, how are you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on firstly. But second of all, I mean, it's going good. Weather's getting a little bit colder, sun's shining. So today I just can't complain.
Love that, Tyler. Well, first, man, before we get into the football stuff, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Ole Miss and Inside the Rebels over there at 247.
Yes. So I've been covering Ole Miss since the 2020 season. So that was Lane Kiffin's first season. I did attend the University of Mississippi, and I graduated this past May with a degree in journalism. And I've been working full time with 247 Sports Inside the Rebels since June 15th. And right now priority is football, but I also cover baseball for them. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Kind of, brand new into the industry, pretty much.
Hey, Tyler, we'd love to have you back on for baseball talk, man. I know we do baseball as well. I played college baseball, and anytime Auburn and Ole Miss square up, brother, we would love to have you on.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome, man. Well, look, Tyler, I want to hop in here to the football talk, man. And first, I want to start with Lane Kiffin. And like I mentioned, everything that happened at the end of last year, all the buzz about Auburn, and he stays at Ole Miss, right? Can you talk about, in his fourth year, the job that he has done with this football program and attacking the transfer portal, and the job he's done in recruiting, and just going out and getting Pete Golden as your defensive coordinator to improve that side of the football? What has he done in Oxford, and how is he luring kids in like a Jackson Dart to get this program back to that top 15 program that Ole Miss is right now?
Ever since he really took over at Ole Miss, I think, man, it's like he's got a crystal ball or something, I swear, because it's like he predicted this coming, a couple of years back, because he's always been attacking that transfer portal. And I think what, really sticks out about him to these recruits, whether they're transfer or, high school guys, I think is just like kind of the brand of football they play on offensively. I think that was the first real step, score from far, all the flashy, throwing the clipboard, trying to get this brand of football. Like, I don't know. It's kind of unique the way he does things. I mean, now they got Juice Kiffin, this dog that they try to use for recruiting. So, I mean, but he's come a long way since he's been here. And you talked about Pete Golding for a little bit. I think that's been his biggest transfer addition of the offseason, honestly, because that defense looks unrecognizable from the past 3 years in his tenure. It's easily the best up to this point. So yeah, that's kind of where they're at that point. And last year, I got to say, I think he learned a lot from last year with all those rumors, because really after that Alabama game, they're 8-1 in that game, and they end up losing heartbreaking fashion on that last, with the ball in their hands pretty much right in the red zone. They couldn't pull out the win, and it kind of took down the rest of their season with it, kind of killed the momentum. They didn't win a game the rest of the way. And I think that's when the rumors really started to pick up. Mm-hmm. But I think the way he just handles himself now and won't let any outside distraction get to them. And I think we really saw that when they were tested with some adversity, when they lost to Alabama a couple of weeks ago, and they come out and win 2 straight at home against LSU and Arkansas.
Yeah, man. And that's one thing I want to ask you, Tyler, is you beat LSU, you beat Arkansas, you get back on that winning streak, and then you have the bye week. And we know the woes from Ole Miss on the bye week and everything, but I think a lot of people that have touched on that, when you really break it down and look at it, Ole Miss coming off the bye week, a lot of those losses are to Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think that's a little watered down, but coming off the bye week and Ole Miss apparently having the woes, do you think this football team will be ready for this atmosphere Saturday night in Jordan-Hare Stadium?
I do, just because I know they've been preparing for it ever since the bye week. It's not unusual for a team to blare music during practice to get ready for a game like that. But I think the biggest reason why I think they'll be ready atmosphere-wise for sure, just because of the environment they had to play in Tuscaloosa just 4 weeks ago.
Yep.
That game's going to be a frequent reference point, I feel like, for a couple different reasons. But, playing in front of 100,000 plus, and at that point, the magnitude of that game was pretty big because, 2 early losses for Alabama in September, that's unheard of. And a loss for Ole Miss, will it be a repeat of last year? And, they, like we already addressed, they kind of shut those worries down a little bit by being two quality opponents the following week. But, I think this team is focused. I think the returners that came back, in key spots like Jackson Dart, I think they're going to have this team focused and make sure they don't overlook anybody if it's Auburn or ULM.
Yeah, that's one guy that I really want to talk about, Tyler, is Jackson Dart and the growth that he has made. And I think he's at like 64% completion percentage right now. He's almost 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns to 2 picks. And I think he's got 4 more rushing touchdowns. He's just balling, man. He's just from last year, and I always kind of felt like last year he had some turnover problems.
Sure.
And now he's taking care of the football, and he just looks like, honestly, I think he's ready for the NFL, man. I think he's pretty dang good. But can you just talk about his growth, him leading this offense, and how comfortable he is with Coach Kiffin?
Absolutely. I think it all goes back to about January when they acquired Spencer Sanders and then they added Walker Howard to the mix. I think just, him, I guess over the offseason, never being able to be so comfortable because Lane would never, name him the starter till after week 1, essentially. So, I think that was a huge, point in his growth spurt that we've seen this year. And obviously taking care of the football, that's been a lot better. You saw a ton of rookie mistakes from him last year, honestly. Mm-hmm. Even some dropped interceptions last year, to be honest with you. And his comfortability is I think that's what ultimately also gave him an edge over Sanders in that early quarterback race. Just having a full year of being in Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr.'s offense, I think that, helped him tremendously this offseason. And the last point I'll say that, really helped him this offseason would probably be the defense because, crazy enough, I wasn't sure how this season would turn out for either of the quarterbacks at the time because both were just turning the ball over at, kind of an alarming rate in August during fall camp. But clearly it was to their benefit and just also speaks volumes to this defense, I feel like.
Yeah, Tyler, his play is it has stepped up in a big way, man. He is leading this Ole Miss offense, and they are putting up points. Almost put up a 60-burger on LSU. So that was impressive. That was a super fun game to watch, man. Even though, LSU's defense, I don't know what's happened down there in Baton Rouge, but maybe they found something last week against us. I don't know. But man, talk about the weapons that Jackson Dart has to work with. We know what you got at tailback, brother. You got an absolute I wish he was in orange and blue, Tyler. I'm not gonna lie, man. But just talk about the weapons on the outside. And I know you got one guy. I think the Harris kid. I think he's got like 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Talk about those cats.
Yeah, Trey Harris. He's I think the most talented offensive weapon they have right now, just because, I mean, he doesn't have to rely on the offensive line as heavy as, players like Quinshon Judkins. But Trey Harris, Jordan Watkins, Dayton Wade, a name that's really not talked about enough, and Caden Priestcorn. I mean, those guys really present, some solid weaponry for Jackson Dart. Almost, want to say it doesn't give him an option other than to be really successful with all those type of players. But a player who didn't win the bye week would be Jordan Watkins. I mean, he suffered actually. He's Ole Miss's leading yardage receiver as well up to this point. He suffered a hand injury during practice last week, pretty significant. It's believed to be. Reportedly, he's practicing this week from our sources. That's what we're hearing. But he's got, at the same time, a brace on that hand. We're not too sure what hand it is, because we've kind of had closed off access pretty much right when that as soon as that day came. But apparently a removable brace. And so his status is really up in the air Saturday. I think at first I was leaning towards him not playing, most likely, but I think he's going to probably suit up. And if anything, I think his biggest role would probably have to be as a decoy, if anything.
Well, Tyler, the one strong point on this Auburn defense is the secondary. And I look at a matchup like Auburn's D-line and their front seven. They have trouble getting to the quarterback, putting pressure on the quarterback. We just couldn't do it last Saturday night, and when we did, Jaden Daniels would burn us on a long run. Man, it was frustrating. So I look at the Ole Miss offensive line. How is that line working out this year? Because, like I said, that's a key factor in this game for me. Can Auburn get to Jackson Dart and just put a hand in his face, man? Get him to feel some pressure every once in a while. Because, like I said, Jackson Dart, man, if you let him sit back there, he's going to pick you apart.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, honestly, if you asked me this question a month ago, I'd tell you that they might have, a bottom tier offensive line in the SEC. They were really struggling those first 4 games. But after their performance against Alabama, I think they allowed 5 sacks, season high, and they only were able to rush for 56 yards. And the health concerns with Jackson too were up in there because he was taking so many hits, whether it's running for his life because he has no time or he's actually getting hit in the backfield. But they were challenged. Lane Kiffin challenged that offensive line after that Alabama game, and they came out. I mean, they've come out ever since, on top of their game. I think they've surrendered 2 sacks in their last 2 games between LSU and Arkansas, and it's the first 2-game stretch of the season where they've finally kind of found some momentum on the ground, rushing for at least 150 yards in both those games as well. So it's definitely going to be I think a deciding factor in the game. I mean, if they get to him the whole night, I don't see how Ole Miss can pull this one off. But their play as of late has been promising.
I was just saying, going over to the defensive side of the ball, what is the best position group on that side of the ball? And who are some guys that we need to key in on Saturday night?
That's a tough question. I think I'm going to have to go with the defensive line as their best position group. But I think what stands out really about this defense is how deep they are at every position level. Because, I mean, you're going to see it on Saturday. They're going to be rotating a lot, especially on that defensive line and linebacker group. Some guys I think on this defense that Auburn fans should really keep an eye on are Dejon Anthony, strong safety, free safety John Saunders Jr., JJ Pegues, a name I know you guys are familiar with, and I'll leave the last one with true freshman Centarian Perkins, who's been a complete game changer for this defense, and he's played 6 career games.
Yeah, he's been in the news a lot, man, and you see the stats popping from that kid. So, Tyler, before we let you out of here, man, we want to. What does Ole Miss have to do to win this football game Saturday night against the Auburn Tigers?
I think some keys to the game are just going to have to be, we kind of touched on it, just protecting Jackson Dart, one, offensively. Two, being able to run the ball. And then, looking at the other side of the ball, I think just forcing the Tigers to throw the ball more than they want to and really limiting that run, something they've been really successful at this year, is going to be huge. And I like the way Ole Miss's defense matches up here, and particularly, like I said, that defensive line. I do. I could be proven wrong, and all my score predictions, I've kept them consistent, so I'm going to keep them here and I'm going to say 38-17. Now, I've had a few Auburn fans. I mean, they're not too happy with that one, understandably. And, I might have to learn, the hard way, not as hard as Ole Miss if it happens, but the hard way, if that stadium, maybe I'm really underestimating that, that environment at night. Because I know it's going to be a different animal. Like I am taking that into consideration, but if it really is a closer game than that and Auburn wins, I'm going to have to really reevaluate how I view home field advantage.
I think Vegas has it at 6.5. That was shocking to me. But I think Jordan-Hare plays into that Vegas line a little bit.
For sure.
And I think
you think it should be wider or smaller margin?
Honestly, Tyler, the way the Auburn offense has looked, I think it should be wider. I was thinking Ole Miss, like when it come out, Ole Miss -10, -11, 11.5, something like that. And the reason I say that, and Auburn fans might come at me for this, but the way the offense has looked, and we went into last weekend saying, okay, well, we can get something going on the ground against LSU. We should be able to throw the ball on LSU, and we couldn't do anything. So it's been frustrating, Tyler. It's been frustrating, man. And one good thing about it is Peyton Thorne, he does play better at home, but it's still not to the level of SEC caliber quarterback play. And then now you have a fan base that is half Robbie Ashford, and half of them still want Peyton Thorne. And, I don't know what you're going to see Saturday night. That's the reason I looked at 6.5 and I was like, okay, well, is Peyton Thorne going to run back out there? Or are we going to keep seeing the same thing that we've been seeing? Him miss wide open guys. And then, we just, I don't know, man. There was some plays in that Georgia game that we could have made to help PT out, and we didn't make them. And obviously that's why we lost the game. But I think he needs to step his play up, Tyler. And if you get the Peyton Thorne that you got last week at LSU, look, this Ole Miss offense, they're going to score. And we know Lane Kiffin's not going to settle for field goals. Lane Kiffin, he's going for touchdowns, brother. And, that's why I'm not going to give my score prediction out just yet, because we do a Friday morning show on YouTube, and I'll give it out there. But I do have Ole Miss winning the football game, Tyler. And I was a little shocked at that spread. I know Jordan-Hare plays a big factor.
For sure.
And I hope it plays the biggest factor, and I hope Auburn finds a way to win the game. But I think you got to see Robbie Ashford Saturday night in order for Auburn to win this football game. Because if they keep rotating the quarterbacks, man, and you keep getting on a drive with Robbie and then pulling him on a 3rd and short and putting Peyton in, and it's so out of sync right now. It's not even fun to watch, Tyler. It's aggravating.
So that's how they've been doing it. They've been rotating them.
Yeah, man. It'll blow
series or.
Well. I put it to you like this, Tyler. Last weekend, right before half, we're trying to get it. We're trying to get it to a 10-point game, and we're driving the football with Robbie. We get to midfield. We're on a 3rd down, and Peyton Thorne comes in the game, and the drive stalls. And I'm like, we did it in the Georgia game. We're in the red zone, going in to score right before half. We get to a 3rd and 1, and we pull Robbie. We put Peyton Thorne in. Peyton Thorne, that we get stuffed on the 3rd down, 3rd and 1. We get stuffed. I think Jarquez got the ball, and Georgia ate him up. So it's 4th and 1 now. We get a high snap. Peyton corrals the snap. He tries to run forward for the first down, doesn't get it. I don't know why on 3rd and 1 we pull a Robbie Ashford who has the ability to get to the edge and pick up a first down in the red zone, and you go for it on the 4th down. You don't take the points, and you go in tied with Georgia at half. It's been confusing, Tyler. It's been very confusing, man. So I don't know how they're going to play it Saturday night.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'll be looking out for. And in the press conferences during the bye week and this past week, the Ole Miss defenders have been telling us they're preparing for both quarterbacks either way. So they think they'll be ready. Yeah,
and Hugh said you're going to see both guys. So I don't know if that was to kind of throw Ole Miss off or whatever, but I think it's got to be Robbie Ashford, man. And he had success last year against you guys, So
absolutely.
I think it's got to be Robbie, man. But Tyler, man, we're going to let you get out of here. We appreciate everything here at the Up Tempo podcast. We enjoyed having you, brother. Before you get out of here, just drop all of your stuff and let my viewers know where they can go check you out at.
Okay. You can check us out mainly our work on InsideTheRebels.com, affiliate of 24/7 Sports. And if you'd like to keep up with me personally, my Twitter ad is just my name, Tyler, no space Komis. And before the Auburn game, I'll be posting all our content leading up to the game. So if you want to read some Ole Miss stuff, feel free.
There we go, man. Tyler, I appreciate you for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me, Blake.
Yeah,
man. Great time.
Hey, War Eagle, brother. Have a great night, man.
You too, man.
All right, brother.